What's up guys, Chasing Lamely here, and this is episode number 4 of our Motorsport Manager adventure with the Williams F1 team. Just to get you all caught up on where we've been before, so far we have got Robert Kubica sitting 5th in the Drivers' Championship after 2 rounds, George Russell sat in 10th after 2 rounds. We are currently 3rd in the Constructors, but we are a long way behind Ferrari and Mercedes, so we're going to have to really push. In terms of car upgrades, I don't think we've got anything quite ready to go in the car yet, so we're still running the same car we started with. These are a little bit far off in terms of reliability for my liking. We are really pushing the reliability because I'd like to have them ready more or less for Russia. Ideally, I think would be the place that they'll come in. So that's 46 laps. Let's just have a look at the schedule. 46 days. Maybe not quite by Russia, but we should have them by Tondela, which is just 5 minutes. 2 Munich tracks, which is interesting. Didn't see that before. 2 Munich tracks, two trips to Rio, 3 trips to Munich. All 3 layouts, I'm guessing. C, A, B, yep. Then 2 trips to Rio for A and B. Interesting. I'm not entirely convinced by the way this mod has been set up, I'll be honest, but we'll go with it. Yeah, so Beijing coming up, nothing really to report. There's no new drivers coming in. I'm still having some thoughts on this because Kubica is performing in the championship. However, George Russell is the better long-term prospect, so we're going to have to see how that goes, I think. I think we're probably going to let Ollie Rowland go at the end of the season. We do have 33 months on George Russell's contract and 21 months on Robert Kubica's, though, so, we'll see how it goes. I don't mind keeping them around just while we build the team up, and then we can go looking at, maybe seeing where we are in the championship then, and if it's worth bringing in a better driver. In terms of the car, we still have the worst car on the grid. We have the 6th best set of drivers on the grid, which I think is a little unfair. I mean, Alfa Romeo have obviously got Kimi Raikkonen, who I would unequivocally say is better than either guy in our team. Toro Rosso, of course, have got Danny Kvyat, who I rate quite highly as a driver. Despite being the torpedo, he's actually not too bad. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. We've got the 6th best HQ on the grid. We've got the 8th best staff on the grid. We have the absolute worst sponsors on the grid. I need to fix that for next season. And we are 1st in terms of pit crew, as you'd expect, because we can go sub 2 seconds when they're all fit. So, let's get into things, I think, is the only way forward. There's not a lot left to report. That's going to show me a scouting report. Let's see what. Let's look together. Mick Schumacher, one of the weakest drivers, but his potential is huge, and given the chance, he could improve and be one of the best drivers around. Ooh. Do you know what? His morale's quite low. We're going to keep an eye on him because I think he's worth considering for the test driver spot. So maybe we'll do that. Let's have a look in terms of ability, see what is, see where we're at order-wise ability. So mix. He's up there, there's. He's already better than Liam Lawson at Toro Rosso, their test driver, and Rudy Van Buren, their test driver at McLaren. He is not massively far behind Gutierrez or Stroll, and a few good F1 drivers, really. He's not, in the grand scheme of things, far behind Pietro Fittipaldi or Brendan Hartley. But again, these are just test drivers. I mean, Danny Kvyat is the closest up in terms of the main grid. But we'll see how it goes. There's a few drivers who might make my radar long term, but we'll play it out as it goes. I'd love to get Lando Norris in the car, for example. Alex Albon, I think he's massively underrated potential-wise. I think he could do better than that. Pietro Fittipaldi might be someone we look at as well in terms of a new test driver, if not a new team driver. But we'll see how it goes. Let's go to Beijing. We are going to... I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to go with the 10 and above sponsor because... In fact, no, because we seem to be able to pick up at least half of that each race. You can see our best result, our best finish in Sydney was 17th. We did finish 4th in the last race. That was Robert Kubica. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to add any new parts for this race. That might be the way. What does Kubica's... It is quite heavy on the tyres, this track. I don't know if it's heavy enough to justify taking 6 sets of mediums, though. I think that's probably excessive. Let's get into the race. As usual, I'm going to skip practice with you guys, and then we will come back in time for qualifying and we'll see how it goes. So, we'll be back in just a moment. Okay guys, so it's qualifying time, and it was good practice. Kubica ended up top of the timesheets. George Russell ended up 6th on the timesheets. I've not introduced any upgrades when the others seem to have. We are expecting rain towards the back end of the session here, but I don't think it's going to make a great deal of difference. We've not done any massive dry weather running. I think we'll put the super sauce and the qualifying trim on for now, and do the same here, because I think our best running is going to be on the super sauce. It's not one of those qualifying sessions, I think, where we get to play the advantage. If you look towards the end here, it looks a lot like it's going to start getting wet towards the end of the session. Hopefully the cars will perform well. We couldn't get perfect setup, or anywhere near perfect setup. I really struggled to get this car set up right, but it seems to have done okay, so we'll just keep it as it is. There's no real point in taking too many risks here, so we'll get into qualifying and we'll see what we can do. I'd like to think we can make it through Q1. Let's pause that. We'll send George out first because I think he's probably going to be our best hope. We'll let him get to the end of the pit lane, and then we will send Kubica out for a sighter lap. I said we want to get our running in early if we can, because I don't necessarily think that we're going to do brilliantly once the rain comes. I think we need to get as many laps in before the rain comes as we can, while there's still grip on the track, because that, if you look at the track grip predictor there, it's going to drop off with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the session. So we need to get a couple of good laps in early, I think. But we'll see how it goes. We've done okay in practice. I don't know if that's because the weather was changeable. We did a run on wets, a run on inters, we did another run on 2 runs on inters, we did a run on super softs as well. I think I did a run on mediums too, just to check things out. Mediums, they were performing quite well in practice too, which is good to see. But we'll look and see what George Russell can do here. We are looking at about 40 seconds-ish for a sector, 30 seconds for a sector. Let's not pay too much attention to George Russell putting in a purple sector there, because Lewis Hamilton is also on the track. And George Russell is 0.6 down on that first sector already. Kubica 0.7 down. That doesn't bode very well. There was a time while I was still playing with the setups a little bit, trying to get things as best I could, where we had a real problem. We were 5 seconds off the pace at one stage. I don't think we'll be 5 seconds off the pace after qualifying, but it could get there. Kubica is a bit down on things. There, he's coming in second by... Oh no, he's coming above George Russell. So about 0.15 in it, 0.16 in it between the two cars. Kubica, though, still ahead of Hulkenberg, Kvyat. That could bode very well for us. As I said, Kubica was top of the timesheets in practice. Giovinazzi had a really good practice too. I think he came in 4th on the timesheets. So a lot of the back markers looking racy in Beijing, which is good. It means it could be an interesting race, obviously, as the whole race goes through. That could easily change, will easily change, I'm sure. But good starting laps for Russell and for Kubica. We'll get them up pretty much right away, because it doesn't make sense not to, quite frankly. Do another run. I don't want to use too many tyres, because I am aware that Q2 is a possibility, if not Q3. But we'll see how it goes. We're hopefully going to bring him out in some fresh air there. We failed to do that. That's fine. Use another set of supers for Robert Kubica too. I think if we don't make it through to Q3, I think actually I'm probably not going to use the supers in the race. This track is a little bit harsh on tyres. I don't think the supers are going to go terribly far. It would force us into a 2 if not 3 stop. And we don't want to do that unless we have to, if I'm honest. Let's see where George Russell is in relation to that. I want to say Force India, but it's a racing point now, isn't it? He's just passed it. He's got a bit wide, the racing point now. I don't know which racing point we're looking at here. But we'll see how it goes. Things could be... I can't even see on the mini-map because of where things are. It looks like it's Perez who's struggling a little bit. Hopefully Perez keeps losing it. He has not got his car set up well at all, has he? Okay, let's see what George Russell can do on his flying lap. Hopefully it's something special, because it looks like this is about when we expect the rain to start coming in. This will be our last good lap, I think. So George Russell really needs to do something special here. 0.3 down on the first sector. What can he do here? 0.3 will put him on 4th. But Lance Stroll's coming up for another lap. But he might have left it too late for another lap as well. He might hit the rain towards the back end of his flying lap. So we'll see what Russell can do. Kubica is also 0.3 down, so he would be looking to go into that 4th place if things hold. The Russell's just dropped down. 0.755 would put us somewhere near Ricciardo. As the rain starts now just as we come to the back of this lap, that's going to really hurt Kubica more than it hurts Russell as he crosses the line. Still only 20th. We really need to see a performance from Kubica here. He doesn't need to pick up a lot. He just needs to pick up a couple of tenths of a second. Oh, he's blown it. We're going to have to risk. We're going to have to risk a lap on Inters, I think, which is very disappointing, because I don't think we can get anything extra out of those Inters. It would be very special if we did. And it might even be heading towards a wet track. Not quite, maybe. To look and see where that's crossing over. Perez has gone out on Inters, but we know he doesn't have a lot of grip on the car. I think he's very much set up for wet weather though, so we might see something happen there. Let's send out Russell again. Hope he can push something.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Apparently Alexa doesn't know either. I don't know if you heard that in the background, but Alexa likes to do stuff. Let's go with Inters. It feels like the right choice right now. And we'll bring in Kubica in a second as I go. Kill Alexa, because that felt like the right thing to do. Right, let's send out Kubica on a set of Inters 2. Things, we are due a wet race. I don't want to use too many sets of Inters. We might have to 2 or even 3 stop on Inters, but we have got to try and push for a better lap. And I don't really know what else to do. We've got to take the risk. We've got to see if that time's there. We'll try and bring George Russell round to the line as fast as we can here. Get him onto his flyer, and we'll see what Kubica's got once he comes through on his flyer as well. It's going to be touch and go. We should be looking at a first sector more or less nowish. It's going to be well down, as he's not going to do it. His 0.1 down. The Inters, frankly, the Inters were never going to really turn on, I don't think. Turn our attention to Robert Kubica now. Robert Kubica, what's he going to do in that first sector? Probably going to be down by points. He's going faster than Russell in the rain, which does help us for the race a little bit, because it is predicted to be a wet race. He's not got any special wet weather traits that could help, but 0.75, if Kubica can hold around there, would put us into Q2. Won't hold my breath, because 0.134 leaves us well outside. That's not going to improve anything. I don't think anyone's going to do any improvements there. I think we're pretty much looking at those 5 cars going out, including ourselves. That's it for Q3, or Q1, sorry. So, yeah, Kubica not turning practice times into qualifying times, which is really disappointing. But we'll see how that turns out. As typically the session ends and the track starts drying out. Very disappointing. Scuppered by the weather a little bit. We're apparently waiting for Bottas to finish his in-lap. I don't know why, but that's life. So Vettel through on the provisional pole from the first session. Hamilton second, Leclerc third, and Stroll fourth. We've not lost any big names. It's been the kind of qualifying you expect. Hulkenberg is maybe a big surprise. He's currently carrying an injury, a dodgy neck. Lando Norris is out a bit early, but it's McLaren. They can be a bit milk floaty, and Antonio Giovinazzi also gone. Let's sim through these next 2 qualifying sessions just so we've got an idea of how the grid shakes out. Might see a surprise here. It is coming down. The weather is coming down, but we're going to get a dry track more or less now. Give some guys a chance to go on the super softs. Hamilton and Bottas already looking low on the timesheets, but they're doing an outlap now. They're going to make it through. They have made it through. So that looks like that's our final top 10 shootout. We've lost Perez, Sainz, Kvyat, Stroll and Albon. Pretty much leaving the usual suspects in the top 10. Raikkonen making it through, Ricciardo making it through. Big performance gap in the Renaults for this race. So there we go, confirmation. Perez, Sainz, Kvyat, Stroll and Alex Albon are out. And now let's see what happens in Q3. I wouldn't expect that to shake up much. It will depend heavily on the weather though. There is rain hanging in the air. That could change things. Hamilton's got an early flying lap just as the track gets deluged, but it's going to dry up fairly quickly. Ricciardo trying to get a good outlap. Can he do that? Anything? Ricciardo's gone pole. Oh, I thought he'd done it then. I thought he pulled out some magic. But that looks like a final qualifying grid there. A really good performance from Ricciardo, getting himself onto the pole very briefly. Could be a bit racy. He could be racy today. So there is our final grid there. No big surprises really. Top 4 are the top 4 you expect. Everything behind them is more or less as you'd expect. Pierre Gasly being the slower of the 2 Red Bulls, as you expect. We were all hoping Robert Kubica could do better, and we'll see what can happen. The Haas engine sounds like a badger with irritable bowel syndrome. Well, it's a damning indictment of Ferrari, but we'll see what happens. Into the race, really got to play strategy well today, so let's have a look at see what weather we've got. It's looking largely dry. Might be worth doing that first stint on Inters, which is what we've got there. That's good. In terms of knowledge, we'll do the race trim, and I feel like what we're going to do is we're going to throw on Engine Expert because I like Engine Expert as a trait. We don't need the refueling thing, so here we'll go race trim and we'll go for inters. See if we can get that boost through the opening stage. Car setup we won't change much. Strategy wise, I think we can afford to push there. We will go into overtake mode early on. Just have a quick look. We're looking at that rain coming down. Lap 14, probably going to start looking at changing tyres. How many laps can we get on these inters? About 14 to 16. We should just be able to make that through. So, into the race, let's see what happens. Confirmation of the grid: Hamilton, Leclerc on the front row, Vettel and Bottas row 2, Ricciardo, Magnussen on row 3, Verstappen and Grosjean row 4, Raikkonen and Gasly row 5, Perez and Sainz row 6, row 7 is Kvyat and Stroll, row 8 Albon, Giovinazzi, 9 is Kubica for us and Lando Norris, and row 10 Nico Hulkenberg and George Russell bringing up the rear. It's going to have to show us something special, is George. We'll see how it goes. We'll focus on Kubica whilst he's ahead, and the lights are out. And just a quick pause because I am going to burn, if I can, why won't it let me do a burn? Let me do a burn. What are we doing here? I'm guessing that's something to do with rules there. We'll let them manage their own thing for now. I don't want to do it too much because they have a habit of switching into hybrid mode. And actually this is kind of what I want to be pushing. We'll Russell up into 16th, Kubica 17th. But we don't look like we're particularly racy right now, do we? Magnussen gets past Kubica easily going into that first corner. Yeah. Not a good start. We'll follow George around for a bit. Hopefully we will get into the firing up engine mode very soon. We'll turn those off because I want to be able to use those as soon as we can cross the line, which should be now. Boom, boom. Let's fire that up as best we can. Use all of the ERS there just to see if we can push. Some mistakes happening. The rain's coming down though. The grip should be coming back. We've lost a lot on the tyres early on. A lot on the tyres. That's possibly going to force us into another stop, and I don't like that at all. Not ideal. Far from ideal. Let's go into high speed mode. Hopefully we can keep these tyres working. Kubica makes a place up into 12th. He is good enough in the rain to get a result here. He does seem to improve in the rain. He doesn't really have any great stats for the rain, anything special about him for the rain. But he does seem to improve when we get into the rain. He does want Alex Albon to move out of his way though. I think we're going to struggle to make these tyres last all the way to lap 12. We've got a low fuel delta there, so we'll switch on to medium. We'll start recovering. Kubica up in 12th there. He is going to start to lose places. He's not got a fast enough car really to hold anyone off. We are going to have to start introducing upgrades as soon as possible. As soon as I look like I've got engines and things that look like they can do something, we are going to have to look into that, I think. Any upgrades we can get working to a satisfactory condition by the next race would be ideal. Struggled to make these tyres last, haven't we? We've really struggled. They probably shouldn't have pushed right off the line. But everyone else seems to be having the same or similar issues, really. We are going to have to bring in for tyres, and that's going to hurt us. a lot. But we shouldn't lose much in the pits, so do we take that risk knowing everyone's got to come? We've got to do it really, haven't we? We'll do. Who's got the worst tyres on the track at the moment? 25, 20. Ooh. We'll bring in Kubica because I've got a little bit more faith in him to get more out of the track. We'll take a risk with the charge and we'll go for a fast pit stop. Oh, far from ideal. I think we've managed this race badly already. We're only 8 laps in. Things could change. I don't see it. Bring George in for an undercut if we can. It's a good pit stop. 1.7, no mistakes for Kubica. He is coming out a fair way behind, but he does have more tyres now. He can push. So hopefully that will work out a bit better for us. In fact, we're pushing the wrong driver, but that's fine because he's coming in for tyres very soon anyway. Get them both in attack mode, see what we can do. George Russell should come out behind Kubica, you'd think. Kubica is closing the gap on the leaders though. Having that fresh set of inters is doing something for him. No mistakes, a 1.6 pit stop. Absolutely spot on there. Kubica is ahead of him, but it's not the worst. I think the pushing is doing okay. We're 9 seconds behind. Carlos Sainz has come in for supers. Seems a bit premature. Maybe we could have held on a bit. But those tyres weren't going to make it another couple of laps. That would have been my prediction, I think. So we just need to push these tyres as hard as we can. Push them as hard as we can. Hope we make up a few places through the pit cycle. We don't really want these tyres to last long. We just want them to get us through as best we can. We are going to make up places, that's to be expected, and as soon as these tyres start to drop off for Kubica, he's going on to a set of mediums, I think. Not quite getting the times out that you'd like, but let's bring him in. Kubica 4, where we got 54 laps, 40 laps remaining. Oh, what were they doing? 18, 24. We'll come in for some softs, I think. The logic there being that it gives us options later in the race. I know you want to come in, you're going to have to wait because I cannot double stack you. That would be a horrendous mistake. There's 5 seconds between. We could double stack. We're going to risk it. We'll take a risk. We should probably we'll put a set of super softs on George Russell, because I can always finish the race on mediums to eliminate the need for an extra pit stop if possible. I don't like the fact we've made 2 pit stops this early on in the race. We'll see where Kubica goes into the pits here and hope this double stack works. We'll bring him out on neutral on the tyres though. We need to get as many laps out of these tyres as we can to make this work. Kubica with a 1.7. The double stack has worked. We've had no errors. Beautiful. That's beautiful. That's the fastest pit stop of the race for George Russell as well. So he's picked up a little bit of time in the pits there on Kubica. And we've got fully charged cars, which is going to let us push a little bit more. Lance Stroll there, we're just behind in 18th, but his tyres are going to drop quite rapidly. In fact, he's gone. There you go. Kubica's taken him already. And on the softs too, which is interesting, because Stroll's tyres should be better, but Lance Stroll, if we look at his tyres there, he is on 36%. He is reaching that drop-off point, so Russell should start catching him fairly rapidly too. And then we can really start to think about how far into the race we can take these tyres. So let's speed up, see what we can pick up place-wise. Russell, you'd expect to start looking for a pass very soon, if not, no, she's coming within 2 seconds. Kubica is sort of within 2 seconds of Hulkenberg in front. Lance Stroll is about to pit. That's beautiful. That's what we need. You'd expect him to come out on mediums or softs for this next stint. He's got another set of worn super softs, which feels like a humongous mistake to me, because he is going to have to make another stop. At least 2 more stops, in fact. Very bizarre. They may not have packed enough super soft tyres for this race. We are just going to kind of rush through this, I think, because Kubica is sort of in no man's land. He could maybe push a bit more, but I'm kind of feeling like we're going to pick up on pit stops, and then we can kind of push towards the end if we need to, which is my thinking. Also, we are expecting horrendous rain towards the end, so this should get us, we should have enough tyre here to get us through to lap 40 with Kubica. I may have made a mistake putting Russell actually on the supers, because he's going to have to stop again, I think, before lap 40. But almost certainly will have to stop before lap 40. So Kubica being on the softs might have been a good choice. But we'll see how that goes. It's looking okay. We're up into 15th, taking advantage of the pit stop by Hulkenberg. Perez should be coming in very shortly. We've got the 2 drivers not far apart, actually. They aren't far apart on the track. There's 0.8 give or take. We are picking up through the pit stops. This should work out okay. I think George Russell, we might be able to maybe get a quick run on a set of supers if we need to. It's round about lap 39, I think. So 11 laps. I don't think George Russell's got 11 laps left on those tyres. He's got about 3 or 4. The question is, do I risk it? Bring him in early-ish. Try and get that undercut going. Because those softs will probably do 1 more lap at decent pace. Maybe 2. He's got a 2-second lead. Lance Stroll's coming for another pit stop. Give it some thought. Give it some thought. What do? We will do it. We will come in for a fresh set of supers for George Russell. We will be ahead of Sergio Perez. That's almost a guaranteed. In fact, let's pause that quick because I've just messed up. We should have recharged his battery. That feels like a necessary evil here. Battery recharge to 75. Let's take the risk. And we will push his tyres in attack mode for a little while. When he comes into the pits, we will look at switching that up maybe to just a push, I think. We just want to hold on to those tyres as best we can. Charge is successful. It's a decent pit stop. Put those on push. George Russell's made it out the pits. he is a lap down already, but that does mean I can start pushing fuel a little bit, which is quite majestic, if I'm honest. Also, Kubica's got some fuel to play with. So Robert Kubica, we will start pushing on the engine too. George Russell's taking a blue flag, but he did just get past Hamilton. That wasn't my imagination. He is faster than Lewis Hamilton right now. Lewis Hamilton has got his tyres starting to drop off. Kubica's got himself up into 11th. So we can maybe do a quick run through here. He's got to cut to 10th ahead of Carlos Sainz. George Russell is massively faster than Lewis Hamilton. What are these lap times looking like? That's really bizarre. Even Perez has managed to get past. Lewis must be holding off his tyres. Really curious. Really curious. I don't know. Either way, we have got Robert Kubica up in 8th right now. The pushing on fuel has been a little bit successful, I think. We'll soon see when the park condition starts dropping horrendously, I'm sure. They're holding up okay. Tyre deg is really bad, but I'm not overly worried by that because I think we should have enough on those tyres to get us through. We'll go another couple of laps. Because Kubica, okay, he's 13 seconds down right now. But that's okay, I think. That is okay. Maybe we'll try and do a quick. In fact, that's not worth it. It's not worth it. George Russell's trying to get past Giovinazzi. See if we can get him onto a straight, and we will push his tyres. Push him through entirely. Really. Just need to get round to a really good length of straight, which will be towards the end of the lap, you'd think. Currently harvesting, that's fine. Come on, George, round this last couple of corners. As soon as we get around here, we can start to push and see where we can get you. Boom. Give that everything you've got, mate. Everything you've got. Let's see what we can do here. He's done okay. He's done it. He's closed the gap to 0.5. Which is okay. That's good enough. That's good enough for now. I think he's sort of starting to smell blood a little bit. Robert Kubica, we really need these tyres to start coming because we maybe should have switched to some mediums for that middle sector, you know. Maybe should have switched to some mediums for the middle sector. We're going to pull back a little bit on the tyres. Do a little conservation mode. Because I need those tyres to get through. How long does it say we've got on these tyres? 4 to 6 laps. Oh, I needed to go further. Really need to go further. The strategy is going to cost me horrendously today. I can feel it already. It's just been a bad strategy today. I don't know what's gone wrong, but I haven't played this race out terribly well. We're going to drop George Russell down to neutral. I don't think there is a way past that Alpha, mate, if I'm honest. Start conserving some engine with Kubica 2. Oh, it's all very sketchy, this. It's all very sketchy. Kubica's got 5 seconds to play with. It's not the worst with the backing up. But he is being caught rapidly by Pierre Gasly. It's a good battle going on ahead of a George Russell here with Giovinazzi and Albon. It's almost tempting to put Kubica in. If I bring Kubica in for a rapid blast through these tyres, we're going to come out 16th though. I think we're going to hold on to as long as we can on these tyres. Maybe go into back up a bit. I don't mind losing a couple of places if necessary. George should have enough tyre left to get past. It says he's attempting a pass. I don't see it. I don't see him making the pass. I've got to be honest. And Giovinazzi in that Ferrari engine does have a lot of power, and it's not an awful car. We certainly wouldn't get past Alex. We kind of need those two to start tangling with each other. What's going on with Gasly? Is Gasly starting to hold off on tyres? He's not. Interesting. Hopefully Kubica can see 3 more laps out of these tyres. I'm hoping he can, because we are heading for a rainy period. We can't be far away. 2 laps tops, I think. Like, it's almost reaching that stage where I would consider bringing in Kubica for the Inters to get him a bit of a jump on. Let's see where he's at. I know your tyres are worn, George. I'm not interested right now. And there we go. We should be able to get him straight onto that set of Inters. 18 laps to go. But also it's going to rapidly get to wet. Oh. I don't know if it's worth putting on a set of Inters now or letting him go another lap. Hoping he can turn those wets on. Because that should just make it. I'm going to split the strategy a bit. This could be a huge risk, but I think if we split that strategy a little bit, what we can do is get George Russell through the rest of those tyres, because he's sort of rapidly catching up places, and if these Inters drop off when the rain gets heavy, if we can get him in for a set of wets late, we should be sitting pretty, I think. So 1.7 pit stop, that's not too bad. Because when's that rain going to turn? Somewhere around lap 40. So if I can get George Russell through maybe one more lap. Let's bring him in now for a set of wets. Because I think that might pay off. That might pay off because everyone else is either going to be stuck on Inters that aren't quite performing, or they're going to have to come in again for wets. So maybe there's something here for us. Maybe. I mean, yes, Kvyat's going to go. He's got the run. That's fine. Let's go and push for those, because I should have been there already. We're also going to push the engine a little bit onto wets, but we're going to conserve them a little bit. I'm going to put the engine up to high, because I do have a gut feeling that this track is going to get very, very damp very quickly, and the second we do, we might just make this work, because those wets will stay, they'll maintain temperature a little bit, because the track is not quite wet enough for them yet. And George Russell wants to go in for Inters. He would be making a mistake if he did that. We've kept Kubica in the points, that's a good start. And then hopefully we're going to reach that turning point in the next couple of laps where we can start turning up the tyres. Push the engine up into overtake mode. And yeah, we should be about to reach that crossover point, which would be ideal, because then we're going to start seeing George Russell hopefully pick up some time on the guys around him. I start to go into neutral now. I need to take Gasly out of neutral into neutral as well, just to make these tyres last till the end, because I don't think they're going to go all the way. I don't mind bringing you in for a quick blast on the wets if I have to at the end of the race, but George Russell should start picking up time. Let's keep an eye on his times here. He does have a little bit of extra fuel in the tank because he's been lapped, which Kubica should be nowhere near getting lapped just yet. And hopefully these tyres will start to turn on more or less now, if we can start to maybe see some change here. 11 laps to go. That water on the track is going up. And there we go. So the water's on the track is going up, and George Russell is flying. He's flying. Lando Norris has moved on to the wets as well. Is it worth the risk of bringing Kubica in for a set of wets till the end? I think it might be. Let's push. Let's really push these tyres. Maxi's lost it as well. It is wets. Wets is the way to go. I picked that up right at the point where I needed to, I think. Okay, full battery, quick pit stop. I hope we can make this last. We'll ride with Kubica because I don't see us going out of the points. Seb Vettel's in the pits with a problem too. It's risky, but you feel like a few of these guys have got to go in. And that's not just me, I feel like we've got to go in. Do a 1.7, 1.7 will do us nicely. Kubica's coming out in 10th. He is going to come out in the points. It's not helped George Russell much. I must admit, it's not helped George Russell much, this strategy. But it has helped Raikkonen. I helped Kubica a little bit. Raikkonen now, sorry, I was just looking at Raikkonen. He might have to come in 4 tyres. He might start dropping off. It's not a huge gap, but we can... How long have we got left in the race? We've got 9 laps remaining. They should do 14. We might be able to push that right through to the end. And maybe, if we're lucky, pick up another couple of points. We have picked up a point over Kimi Raikkonen. I don't think we're going to quite catch Gasly, but that's not the worst thing that could happen. We're going to drop that strategy back down, push on the tyres, just a touch, just to get them up to temperature. Robert Kubica, though, is flying right now. He's flying. 5.8 to the car ahead, which is a big gap, but we do need to keep Raikkonen behind us, ideally. Danny Kvyat is 12 seconds behind. He shouldn't be able to get to us, so we should be looking at a point here, I think. It's certainly not outside the realms of possibility. George Russell has gone into hybrid mode, so we can push that engine a bit higher, because he is still going to recover the tyres, recover the fuel, and it won't affect his engine too much. Robert Kubica, though, going pretty well, down to 6 seconds on the car ahead. I'd like to think he can catch up now. He's also gone into hybrid mode, which is probably the correct choice right now, just to keep us ahead of Raikkonen. We've got about 3 seconds on Raikkonen. Nico Hulkenberg just ran wide. That'll hurt his race. It's pretty much ended his race. You want to come in and fix some parts? Oh, okay, we're going to have to drop that down to medium engine mode. We're going to take that off of there because that's just stupid, quite frankly. I don't really want to be in hybrid mode right now. That doesn't feel like a smart choice. Likewise, I think we can probably turn your auto off and let you just run down some fuel. Robert Kubica is definitely coming home in some points. We're going to have to take his tyres down because otherwise he's not making it to the end. That's just a fact. Likewise with George Russell, he's not going to make it to the end on tyres that are pushing that hard. But looks like 2 points for Robert Kubica are coming home, which is perfect. I know you want to turn the engine mode up, but your car is about to fall apart, and I'm not risking that for anyone. I'd rather come home fuel heavy than come home without a car. That would be the ideal. I know your tyre wear is getting bad, George. I'm not stupid. Don't know why that stuttered then, but we'll soon find out. We've lost the place to Raikkonen. That was sort of inevitable. I can't see Danny Kvyat coming through. I don't mind losing that place to Kimi Raikkonen. He does have more tyre than us. Kvyat might make up some of that 9 seconds, but you'd hope not necessarily all of it. We are going into the last lap in a second, so I might have it. The track is drying out though. It is starting to dry out just at the end as you want it to dry out, you know. It's not going to help the tyre deg at all, but we're into the last lap now. Let's push this. Feels like a wise move. We're going to push the fuel as far as we can. We will let George Russell have his auto moment. Don't know why I did that. I need to wait for this. We've got a long straight now. Let's push. Let's use all of that. Let's use all of that just so we can put that back into auto. Put you back into auto. Robert Kubica, look, he's going to cross the line. It should be 10th. Oh, we've been lapped. We have been lapped. Oh, that could have been an error. I did not calculate that having to do that extra lap. Okay, awkward. Right. Come on, mate. Come on. We're going to conserve those tyres. It's 9 seconds. I think we can swallow 9 seconds. We'll take 10th. That's not the worst. I don't know why I'm still burning fuel. We'll go into medium fuel mode. And we'll just bring this home now because 10th is pretty much secure. Danny Kvyat is the lowest person who can, well, is the last person to finish. It's still 9 seconds. Robert Kubica comes down the home straight, and there we go. 1 point for Robert Kubica. He fires out the rest of his ERS just as we cross the line. Not too bad. It's not too bad. Considering we were top of the timesheets in practice, I thought a point might be a possibility here. Qualifying was really disappointing. We need to get these upgrades on the car as soon as possible. But we'll take a point. We'll take a point here. I think that's probably a good return. It was probably the best return we could have hoped for. And we do at least we know what it takes to compete in the middle of the pack right now. At least with one car. I don't know what we're going to do with George Russell. He should be the better driver. He really should be the better driver. It shouldn't even be a close contest. But Robert Kubica is performing. His performance in the rain helps a lot. Looks like we made the right choice coming in with Kubica around here for 10 laps on the tyres, because just about everyone else did 10, including, I think, George Russell. George Russell did 14, did quite well doing 14 laps. Maybe I brought him in a touch early, but I didn't really have a choice. We had to try and get a jump on it a little bit. maybe a set of inters just for a few laps would have done him slightly better time-wise. But we'll learn from that. We will always learn from that. Scrutineering, I don't think we're going to see any penalties. No penalties there, that's fine. Yeah, not a bad return. 1 point is not a bad return from that. We got our sponsor bonus of $5,000 for very little that's worth. Kubica's still 6th in the Drivers' Championship. That's not too bad, considering we weren't expected to score many points this season at all. I don't think I'd have predicted us having 19 points overall for the entire season, so we're still a little bit ahead of where we were. 4th in the Constructors. Looking good so far. We're not in danger of relegation. Anything going on? And some people making fun of us. But we can handle that. Right. I think that's going to be it for this race. Let's just have a quick look. Just a quick look whilst we go through the horror of the loading screen, just to see where those parts are at that we wanted to bring in. Because I would like to think maybe we'll have something ready by the next race, which I think is in about 2 weeks' time. See how the drivers. I haven't shown you the screen. I don't think this is how the drivers have improved. We've got a full-on relationship with the mechanic and George Russell there, which is going to help us immensely. Some big improvements on braking there for George Russell. Some improvements for Kubica a little bit. Already got max feedback, so that's not going to make too much difference. Ollie Rowland's not had any outings, and yet somehow he's improving. I don't know how. We are losing some money race on race. That's not the worst. We do have quite a bit of money in the tank. And as we go through, the autosave mode saves an awful lot. Just a random umbrage with the game. It does also save an awful lot. But that is life, I guess. Rather autosave than not. So let's just have a look. We're not able to see how the parts are improving. I think that we might 10 days to travel for the next race, we might have just enough to get those new parts in, but we will find out. So on that note, I'm going to leave you there, I think, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe buttons below if you've enjoyed this video, and if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. We play this and Football Manager and a few other random things that I just find on Steam from time to time. I've been Chasing Lamely, and that's been me. Until next time, guys, have a good one.